Good evening, everyone who made it to the Zoom session, and to those that will be watching it later. My deepest apologies for whatever happened with the Facebook Live. It all was working well and then crashed suddenly, and now I can't redo it because the event only allows me to go live once. So I'm very, very sorry, but hopefully you'll still get so much out of the session. You can watch it whenever you like, and you can also rewatch it. So kind of makes it a little bit better, hopefully, in some ways. So just a little bit about me first. My name's Alana. I've been an early childhood teacher for about 15 years now. I've worked in many different contexts and realms and countries and done many a thing in early childhood. I've founded and directed Belong, Be, Become, which is a wellbeing resource and framework for early childhood educators. That's been 3 years now. So I facilitate workshops and seminars in service and online, and I'm basically just advocating for educator wellbeing in all its forms: physical, mental, emotional, professional, and spiritual. And I do what I can to give you guys free resources and just real insights into how we can provide ourselves better coping mechanisms and strategies to be more, excuse me, resilient within ourselves as teachers and leaders. I've been really passionate about this over the last couple of years in particular, since I've done a bit of inner work myself and sort of asking some big questions about, why am I doing this work, and what do I really hope to leave as a legacy? We teach so many children from year to year, and not only are we always thinking about what we can give them and provide them, but, how am I also doing the inner work that determines how much I can give them? And since stepping into a new role earlier this year, I've had one of the most challenging classes that I've ever had in the whole 15 years of experience. And I've found that there's been quite a lot of pressure I've put on myself to be perfect, to have all these strategies in place, for children to flourish and succeed, for every parent to be happy, for my boss to be proud of me, to fit in with society, and to also fit in with, government standards and regulations and things like that. There's I'm sure everybody can relate. There's a lot that we have to abide by and consider. And forgiveness has been something I've realized I don't very easily give myself. I sort of just tend to bypass it and really hold on to those things that make me feel like I failed, or I didn't take action when I should have taken action, I didn't say the right thing, blah blah blah. Don't often give myself permission to look at all of the other variables that have contributed to something not going right or going the way that I had envisioned. So I was hoping that everyone read my article, Why We Need to Forgive Ourselves. That's sort of a good starting point into the many reasons why we don't forgive ourselves, and why we do feel, so much pressure and responsibility when we're holding so much as educators. So I'm just going to go and have a look at the quote that I've cultivated based on a bit of research that I've done in the last couple of weeks, and, formulated this phrase, I guess, to really give meaning to what forgiveness is to me. And I hope that it helps you too. So my understanding of forgiveness is to let go of regret or resentment, and to consciously choose to have peace of mind about something you feel hurt about. I'll read that again. To forgive is to let go of regret or resentment, and consciously choose to have peace of mind about something you feel hurt you. So maybe you might like to just take a minute to close your eyes, sit up straight, Relax your shoulders and the muscles around your face. Just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And do that 2 more times. A really nice smooth breath in through the nose and a deep breath out through the mouth. And this is just like a reset for your nervous system. Make sure that you fully relax your belly as well. When you sort of feel a bit more here, a bit more present, you can reflect on that concept of forgiveness, that idea of forgiveness. Does any of that resonate with you? Or do you perhaps have a different understanding of what it could be? Is there anything you'd like to add in to that little phrase? And now while you're sitting there with eyes closed and you're focusing, I want you to ask yourself, what are some reasons that you might not forgive yourself? And I can give you a couple of the reasons that I've come up with personally. I tend to not forgive myself because I can be a perfectionist and I want everything to go the way that I plan. I have a lot of responsibility, so I don't allow myself to fail because I know it will affect others. Sometimes I don't forgive myself because I'm so passionate about the children in my care and about the preschool that I work for. And sometimes I just don't allow myself to feel good. So if you've got anything that resonates or that you could add, just have a little reflect. Why don't you forgive yourself? And now I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and let all of that go out through your mouth. I'm sure that you've realized now that those things that you don't, that prevent you from forgiving yourself are not really helpful. So really let that leave the body, let that leave the mind. And I'm going to tell you now the reasons that you should forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself is a way of bringing self-love and self-compassion within. So it's a way to develop self-love and self-compassion, which is something we so willingly give to others, i.e. children. Right? We need to really practice what we're preaching and what we're showing and what we're giving toward ourselves. We should forgive ourselves so that we can make more mental and emotional space in the mind. If we're holding on to things, we're cramming. We don't have room to keep cramming if we're holding so tightly onto something that didn't go right, that didn't go well. And that not only creates tension in your mind, that creates tension in your whole body. You know, every part of your body will remember that and holds that and stores that. And that can create a lot of anxiety, a lot of stiffness, a lot of worry, a lot of unnecessary things that we really don't need, that we should be able to permit ourselves to let go of. No one is perfect, but we know that we're all doing our best. That's enough reason to forgive yourself, that you're doing your best, that you're doing as much as you know in this moment, and that you're doing it with intent, with good intent, with positive intent, with selfless intent. Another reason you should forgive yourself is so that you can acknowledge the areas that you actually need growth. If we just see those things that were challenging, that, you know, perhaps we didn't find an outcome for or a resolution for, and we just beat ourselves up over it because we don't have the resources or the experience or the knowledge or the wisdom, you know, we're kind of putting that in a really negative light, where we could actually channel that, redirect that and go, well, okay, I don't have the resources, I don't have the knowledge, but what can I do to actually accrue that? What are some practical steps I can take towards just having a better understanding of how I can manage this challenge in the future? And the last reason I've come up with, and you might have some more, is just to honor your journey. So forgive yourself so that you could honor your own journey as a teacher in early childhood. Recognize your progress, recognize all of the things that, you know, you might not necessarily have known a year ago, 6 months ago. But look how much experience and observation has allowed you to grow and evolve your teaching pedagogy. You know, quite often when we are, you know, stuck in that self-pity kind of place where we're regretting something or we feel guilt or shame over it, we look at all the things that we're yet to do. We don't actually acknowledge all the things that we've done and how far we have come in our own journey as a teacher and just as a person. You know, we all know that being an early childhood teacher requires us to have quite good life skills because that's what we're teaching. So all of this stuff that I provide in Belong, Be, Become, and the whole reason that you're here, you know, this is such great inner work. This is essential ingredient to you being a more evolved teacher. I love this quote from Rudolf Steiner. He says, focus not only on what you do, but who you are. So important. That matters more. And children remember that more. If you can learn to forgive yourself, you're teaching children the same thing, that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not always know. It's okay to ask for help. You know, I know we have very different challenges, adults and children, but, you know, we are really modeling to them all the time about how we cope with difficulties. What are our strategies? What are our coping mechanisms? We have to have our own so that we can hold ourselves and teach children the same thing. Obviously, in the correct developmental manner. So I hope that that's some good food for thought. I hope that's something that you start to think about as we do the next activity, the next reflection process. So This will take about 8 to 10 minutes. It's going to be a little meditation. So if sitting up, just, on your bottom with your back straight is going to be quite painful for 8 to 10 minutes, you can lie down and still listen. Just make sure you're really comfy. Okay. So we're going to integrate all this stuff now, but we're going to put it, we're going to visualize it in a more practical sense, and this will really start to all make sense now. Okay, welcome Naomi. Thank you for joining. I've just, I'm recording this session and we're up to the meditation part. So you'll be able to rewatch all of this again from the beginning once the recording's over. So I do apologize that it's all crashed and come down to this point, but
I can't hear. You slow down, you.
Okay, so just getting into a comfortable position, sitting or lying down, eyes closed. Nice deep breath. I'd like you now, as you are in your body, relaxing everything from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, to bring to mind something that was challenging today. There's probably more than one challenge that you can think of. It's something that was just a little bit trickier than you would have expected. Bring that to mind, that scenario. Now, once you've sort of replayed that in your mind and it's quite clear, you can really feel yourself in that challenge and imagine that you were reliving it. Just take a deep breath in and out and release yourself from it. And now I want you to reflect on how you overcame the challenge, or how you could have overcome the challenge if you weren't particularly happy with the way it was dealt with. And this isn't about judgment or criticism at all. This is just perspective and reflecting, being an observer this time. And once you feel content with that part of the reflection, just take another deep breath in and out. Now staying in your body, staying with that challenge, just reflect on what you learnt from that. What you might have learned about yourself, about somebody else, or just a life lesson. And just taking that deep breath in and out again. Now have a little think about something you can be grateful for in regards to that challenge. We learn something from all our experiences, whether they're positive or negative or neutral. So what can you be thankful for? And then once you have that, again, that deep breath in and out to really release it from your whole being. And you can put one or both hands on your heart. And you can either repeat what I'm saying out loud or just in your mind. Today, I tried my best, and I forgive myself for the way I handled all situations. I forgive myself for the things I do not yet know. I always have the capacity to learn and grow. I forgive the outcome of today. And keep your hands where they are. You might like to take that deep breath again. And we're going to do that again, but this time we're going to replace I with others. Today, everyone tried their best, and I forgive them for the way they handled all situations. I forgive others for the things they do not yet know. They always have the capacity to learn and grow. I forgive their outcome of today. And once again, you might like to take that deep breath. And I'd like to just finish that off with a little quote, a little poem, just to really seal that. Be prepared to meet a new version of yourself. Every time you shed another layer of old trauma, conditioning, or hurt. As you let go, your perspectives and interests will shift. Transformation is natural as you travel the road to greater self-awareness, happiness, and peace. So when you feel you've really just processed that challenge or the entire outcome of today, you can gently sit up, open your eyes. And if anything has come up for anyone, or you'd like to share anything, please feel free to unmute, put your video on. And if not, that's okay as well. Sometimes it's good to just keep it in. I would suggest as well, while we're still sort of in this zone, with your notepad and your pen, write down a few words or phrases that came up for you. So we talked a bit about self-compassion, creating mental and emotional space, acknowledging areas of growth, and honoring our journey and recognizing our progress rather. So, we tend to hear things that are relevant to us and what we're going through. And because there's so much information just anywhere and everywhere all the time, it's easy to forget after we do things like this. So I want to give you just a couple of minutes to write some things down. And yeah, if you wanted to say anything, I'm also here. So I'll just give you a few minutes to do that. So I hope that everyone knows there's a lot of resources on my website. If you feel you want to explore a little bit more, I've written a couple of little blogs on a whole bunch of things, really. I've got Facebook Lives from every month. So there's about 12 or 14 on there now. Just some really, I've had the pleasure of interviewing some really interesting people and to talk about different topics. It's, gives you a lot of tools. Educators need really good self-care tools at their disposal. We don't often get acknowledged for what we do, and that's why it is so hard to forgive ourselves. We've got so many expectations on us, so many standards. Sometimes we don't even know who we are in this kind of work. So you will have access to my meditations. I'm going to give you a link once you pop your email address just in the chat. If you want to do that now, Fernanda and Mary, you can pop your email in the chat function. Yeah, I have a monthly newsletter as well. It's just, I try to give a little bit of inspiration where I can. And yeah, so make sure you hang in there with me and get all the juicy stuff that can just really help your whole teaching role just have more meaning. The inner work is really like undervalued. I don't think there's many professional developments out there, unfortunately, for teachers that focus on the inner development of the person, of the role model. But it's highly valuable, and I'm sure that we know that, having worked in the sector for a long time. So yeah, if there's anything else anyone would like to say before we wrap up, please feel free to. It would be lovely to hear some feedback. So yes, thanks, Mary. You're absolutely right as well. COVID had a massive impact on everybody's well-being. I think it all became a bit real for us then. Yeah. But keep doing this really valuable work, because it's really going to change the way that you see your role. And I'm sure Fernanda, as a mother as well, it's just as helpful. Any sort of context where you're, raising the future, or you have to show some guidance. It's so important that we do our work to begin with, and particularly the forgiveness thing. Really, when you catch yourselves having those tricky moments where you just want to break down, or you just need someone to hold you, you can have the power to do that yourself as well. Self-soothing. You can even just brush your arms. It's okay. Deep breaths, all these little techniques to show yourself self-love and compassion. It's really, really important. Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining. It was such a pleasure to have the workshop and have you be here. Your time and your energy means a lot to me. I will send you the link to the recordings, and I'll also add you onto the mailing list if you're happy with that. Just let me know if not. Otherwise, have a lovely evening, and I hope you have a beautiful week ahead and you can practice some of these techniques that we talked about tonight.